This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Warehouse.
Hello, hello. Big game here in the grand scheme of things for the Adelaide 36ers and the New Zealand Breakers. Now, originally, I was thinking the New Zealand Breakers if this was at a neutral venue, but it's not. It's at one of the toughest places to play in the country, the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. It was sold out last week. Remains to be seen what they'll have this week, but I'll tell you what, that is a smart basketball crowd, and they're going to be able to will this Adelaide 36ers team home. And they're definitely going to see a lot of scoring because neither of these teams, in my opinion, are going to be playing too much defence. Plenty of offensive firepower out there, namely Brown Jr. and Isaiah Liafa, my Sac State brother. He's going to be able to get it done. Enjoy and gamble responsibly.
You know the score. Stay in control. Gamble responsibly.
Bradley threw it up for Pardon. How's that for a finish for the Breakers? Oh, Mitch McCarron goes upstairs.
Who launched upstairs and threw it down.
Repair will fly. Soto runs the floor. Look at that athleticism.
Oh, he's rolling.
He's straight springs. It'll be Barry Brown who's going to let it fly.
Oh, yeah. He ready. He is ready.
Live from the Adelaide Entertainment Centre, round 14 of the Hungry Jacks NBL continues with the 36ers posting a third straight sellout crowd as they continue their attention-grabbing charge up the NBL ladder. This afternoon, the quiet achievers of the league, the New Zealand Breakers, have crossed the ditch looking to maintain their stronghold on a semi-final spot, buoyed by their performance here in round 5 when they thumped Adelaide by 29 points in the biggest road win of the year. Thanks for sharing your Sunday afternoon with us. I'm John Casey, so glad you could be here. The 36ers are the hottest ticket in town. They've won 5 straight home games, their best streak in 5 years, and that has seen them climb up the ladder from 7th position all the way to 4th. But because of the compressed nature of the ladder, a loss can be very expensive. And New Zealand have been the feel-good story of this season. Bottom last year with 5 wins. They've claimed 12 victories so far and have sat in the top 2 for the last 10 weeks. Although a disrupted campaign has them a little underdone here today. Antonius Cleveland has been doing it all for the Adelaide 36ers. The reigning defensive player of the year has been turning it on at the offensive end as well. And here on Friday night when the Hawks threatened to come away with a shock win, it was Antonius Cleveland who turned them back. In 3 of his last 4 games, he has led the game in assists. It's not just his defense, it's what he can do all over the floor that makes him so exciting to watch. And a 1-2 punch that he has with Robert Franks is certainly hard to guard, particularly now Ian Clark is with the 36ers as well. But Barry Brown has been a talking point now in MVP contention. 3rd top scorer in the league. He has hit 22 points in both games against Adelaide this season, which the Breakers have won convincingly, and hit 7 of 17 threes during that campaign. He is making the Breakers tick, who today have their first full lineup of the season with Milton McDowell-White back from injury as well. It is all set up for a fantastic afternoon. To tell us more, our commentary team, Andrew Gaze, Pete Hooley and Jack Hebron.
It most certainly is. Thank you very much, Case, and welcome to Sunday Hoops. My goodness me, these 2 games are big as far as the finals go, and as far as the New Zealand Breakers go, Pete. Many people have got them finishing top 2 at this stage.
I mean, they look terrific, but we just haven't seen them for so long. So this is going to be an interesting game, and all these games now have a big magnitude on the end of the season, especially the layout of the ladder.
And I guess the challenge for them, Drew, is the fact that they haven't played a lot. As you can see, this is their last month of games. Due to illness and due to some travel issues, they've only played 3 games in a month. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, that's right, and only 18 in total. But there's a few of those above them that's only played the 19 as well. I think it can be a good thing, particularly if you get on a winning run. Now, of course, the flip side of that, you have a bit of a hiccup and you've got a bunch of games, you're not playing well, you don't get a lot of time to correct it. But if you look at their form throughout the entire season, they've been fantastic. And it's good to have this guy back in the pink colours for the New Zealand Breakers as well.
Most certainly his first game back from a wrist injury against Perth on Wednesday. It looked like he hadn't missed a step.
Oh, he looked terrific. And again, this is just a little dimension that the New Zealand Breakers can add. As Case mentioned, first game this season at full strength, so he's missed a lot of time. Will McDowell-White passed his fitness test, so you have him and Will McDowell-White splitting time in the backcourt. They both can be elite in what they do best, and he's continuing to just climb up the draft boards ever so quietly, but that's what they seem to do. Next stars in the New Zealand Breakers.
They've had a great history, haven't they? RJ Hampton. Last year it was Ousmane Dieng and Hugo Basson. This year it's Rayan Rupert, pick number 18 in the latest NBA mock draft, courtesy of Jonathan Gavoni. So a lot at stake for him to finish off the season as we take a look at the champion starting five for the Adelaide 36ers. Good things have been happening, like we said Friday, since Kai Sotto has come into the lineup. And for the New Zealand Breakers, as we take a look at their starting five as well, with thanks to champion, it's almost a refresher of what this starting lineup looks like because we haven't seen much of them.
Well, it is. As we've mentioned, Will McDowell-White, he's passed his fitness test. He's not going to start in this game, missing some time. So it's good to see him back out there. Isaiah Liaf has been terrific. And Barry Brown Jr., who once was a lock for sixth man of the year, well, he keeps starting games. He might lose eligibility.
A false start for this one. Still to come today at Cairns in southeast Melbourne from the Cairns Convention Centre. That game enormous for both teams as well, but so's this one. And as John Casey mentioned off the top, another sellout for the Adelaide 36ers. 9,308 against Illawarra on Friday, 9,263 last week against Brisbane. The sold-out sign is on the door today as well. Brantley to get things going for the Breakers. Here's Antonius Cleveland. We highlighted him pre-game. He changed the game, Drew, in the fourth quarter.
Oh, my word, he did. And he did it at both ends of the floor. We know what an elite defender he is, but they required his offense. And just when they looked like that it was going to be a defining loss for the Sixers, they came away with a huge win, courtesy of this man.
Great D from the Breakers there.
That's the physicality of Jarrell Brantley. Robert Franks, he was quiet in that first half on Friday and he's been quiet in the last couple. But he's got to be one of their focal points. There's Kai Sotto. He has been tremendous since being inserted into the starting lineup.
5-1 Adelaide are since Kai Sotto has been starting. And that will be an offensive foul.
And when he's in that starting lineup, you bring Daniel Johnson. We all know what he can do as far as putting points on the board. So he does give him that balance. And although Kai Sotto starts, he doesn't really play starter minutes. It's more about just getting him going, and we've seen the way in which he can protect the rim. And in fact, this season in particular, I don't know whether the stats reflect it, but certainly the way in which he's rebounding the ball, it's just the intent on the glass is a whole lot better.
And last season, nice drive by Brown. Last season, Kai Sotto averaged 2 rebounds a game. This season, 4.5, and he's a little above that this season. So numbers don't necessarily show it, but as you say, it's more, in the words of Andrew Gaze, the eye test, isn't it?
And it's the impact that he brings in terms of he alters a lot of shots with his length and athleticism. You don't often throw him the ball and say, go to get a bucket one-on-one back to the basket like you would at Daniel Johnson in that role. He's a lob threat and he can protect the rim, so that's what he's out there for. And then you bring Daniel Johnson in, who's just going to be ultra-aggressive off the bench.
See Barry Brown's numbers in the bottom part of your screen. He's fitted in beautifully. So's this man, Brantley. Back out for Abercrombie.
Good.
And that is nothing but fresh South Australian Sunday air.
Well, he has been very good this season from the three-point line, up at around 54%, but that just hit nothing other than oxygen.
That was one of the 46 who put that one down. I'll tell you what, that possession before Barry Brown Jr. had that drive and Cleveland got whistled for the foul. There's a bit of chirp going on, and Antonius Cleveland, one of the best defenders in the league. This is an exciting matchup to watch.
Early stages at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. Franks, as Pete said, couldn't work his way into the first half. That's a pretty good start.
Couldn't work his way into the first 3 quarters and a bit. Then got some wide open looks in crisis time for Adelaide, and I think it was one where he looked real tentative, and that'll help his confidence as well.
Brown Jr. gave up his 3. He likes that floater.
You leave your feet and let him get downhill into the heart of the defence. He's done that twice now. And I mean, that game on Friday, we keep talking about it. They dodged one, the Adelaide 36ers, with 2 minutes 56 left on the clock. Ian Clark hit a 3, and there's Kai Sotto, who finished the contact. So he hit a 3, Ian Clark, and they ran it off 14 points in the next 2 minutes to put that game to bed. Didn't look very convincing up until that point, but a win's a win at this point in the season.
My word, I think they're just a team still trying to figure themselves out a little bit, the Adelaide 36ers. They've got enough talent that on their day, they can mix it with the absolute very best. We saw them earlier on in the season with a huge win over the Sydney Kings on the road. And I think if they can get their act together over the next 3 or 4 weeks, they could give the whole box and dice a bit of a nudge.
They've certainly been one of the hottest teams in the competition. Must pass Liafa. Probably a little hesitant.
I think he might have a little bit of a flat tire. He's grimacing in pain.
Barry Brown with the left hand.
Oh, Jarrell Brantley.
Barry Brown just so creative in the way in which he can create scoring opportunities primarily for himself.
Soto, size advantage over Abercrombie. Couple of early buckets for the big man.
Take it back. Throw the ball to him, let him go to work. It's good, Kai Sotto. Jury, I think you mentioned it on Friday. You mentioned how deep they are and how talented their roster is. Some interesting things are going to have to happen down the stretch in terms of shortening the rotation a little bit, you would think, and trying to figure out what lineup works well in certain moments.
This time Brantley pulls the trigger. Oh. That's a wild one. Abercrombie with the offensive rebound. Doesn't get the jumper to go. He's the captain, Mitch McCarron. Only had 3 field goal attempts on Friday night. Bernard Copeland in commentary wants him to shoot the ball more. And Franks isolates Abercrombie, who such a good defender, forced him to give that up. Here's McCarron off the front of the iron. Drimmick kept it alive. Here's Soto. He's short as well.
I like the way they're trying to get Franks going, but just they're standing around, 4 guys standing around on the weak side. Just need a little bit more of a distraction. That time when you are standing around, the help responsibilities and where you're going to come to help out becomes a whole lot easier as opposed to when you've got some moving targets.
See the Breakers record on the road. Going to go a long way in this competition if you can win games on the road. Nice touch from Cleveland, levels it up. Sorry, gives the 36 a 4-point lead.
Well, had another little chat to Barry Brown Jr. right in the eye.
Bit going on there?
Just a little bit. And these are the kind of matchups Antonio Cleveland loves, though. When you've got an elite perimeter scorer, he's going to put his hand up and take that personally, really try and shut down Barry Brown Jr. He's off to a good start, 5 points.
Arthur, flat on his back. Shovel that out to Brown. Brantley, shot clock at 3. Derek Pardon manages to win it back for the Breakers. Brown foul.
It's going to count.
It goes.
I don't know whether we should be crediting the Adelaide 36er defence or just the clunkiness of what we've seen early on here from the New Zealand Breakers. But there's been some good stops. That time they couldn't come up with it, weren't able to secure the O boards, and mid-range for Cleveland. And there's the little bit of chit-chat going on. And so far what we've seen from Barry Brown Jr. is that he will not shy away from a bit of the gobbing off that goes on. Out on the court, but usually that interaction there looked like it was in the right spirit. So far anyway.
Well, that's what you like to see, and he's going to rise to the occasion. But you mentioned just that the offense, I guess, being stagnant for the Breakers. This is the importance of Will McDowell-White. He's missed time and he's passed his fitness test, but he just settles everybody down. He sets up the offense, gets everybody in their right spots. Barry Brown Jr., electrifying guard, but he's not that true point guard who's going to slow things down. Same with Isaiah Liafa, and really try and get everybody flowing in their offensive sets.
Oh, there's no doubt. Barry Brown, when he touches it, first, second and third option for him is to score the ball. And then if that doesn't fail, well, I'll try it on the fourth option again, and then we might sort of see something else going on. But it's by design, and he does it really well, and you don't want to take that away from him.
That's a bit of a takes one to know one type vibe there.
My word is. Here is Brown. Off to Rupert. Little layup to get the Frenchman going. Breakers have scored off their last 2 trips down the floor. They tie it away at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. For Adelaide, Daniel Johnson checking in for his first minutes. Ian Clark out there as well. What a start that Ian Clark's made. 3 games with the 36ers, averaging 13.5 points and shooting the 3 ball at 60%.
Well, he's one that I think that we talk about those decisions that CJ is going to have to make. Are we going to continue to see him as that 20-minute-a-game man just to give you that spark, or are we going to throw the keys to him a little bit more and have him as a 30 to 35-minute type guy that's going to be putting up even bigger numbers? I personally would lean a little bit more towards the latter, but I guess that's what has to unfold over the next couple of weeks.
Here is Will McDowell-White. Puts the ball on the floor. Nice kick out for Vodanovic, but an offensive foul before that. Let's get down to John Casey courtside.
Jack, I spoke with Will McDowell-White pre-game and asked him about his broken finger. He did have a test pre-game, but he was excited about coming back. He said he actually missed about 5 weeks of basketball, but because of the disrupted nature of their campaign and game being cancelled because of COVID, he only actually missed 2 games in total. But he has torched Adelaide in the past. In the 2 games this season, he had a game-high 7 assists in both games, as well as double-figure points. He is the key for New Zealand, no doubt.
You see tape on that finger. On the Adelaide 36ers, you want to try and test it out in terms of seeing how he goes shooting the rock. You know, he likes to be our pass first guard. And on that, Drury, the rotations, I think maybe not in this game necessarily when you look at Jarrell Brantley being that physical power forward, but there should be no reason why, if you're trying to shorten things down and see where you can give rest in different lineups, Antonius Cleveland can't slide to the 4 and play the power forward spot more in this league in terms of his strength and athleticism, guarding the likes of Mitch Creek, Xavier Cook. So I think that's some way you can try and keep his minutes up without necessarily throwing everybody else out there. Just
on that Will McDowell-White injury, Pete, for those who maybe don't watch a lot of basketball, how hard is it playing with a broken finger on your right hand?
Oh, well, you're asking the wrong guy in terms of it's the shooting hand. And so, Drew, you're probably the best one to answer that. And as we mentioned, he doesn't take a whole lot of shots. He likes to set up the offense.
Really depends on the type of break. I mean, I've had 3 of the right-hand fingers, little few issues along the journey, and it just comes down to the actual type of injury, but it's never pleasant. Because it's not only that, it's just catching the ball. And the hard passes are coming, you catch that ball, and it can be a little difficult.
As long as they're facing the right direction and not gorgeous type fingers.
Oh. You need to show us that, Casey. I'm glad that didn't make it to camera.
Just a few issues with the fingers that part and parcel. If you haven't dislocated your finger and you're playing the elite level, you haven't tried hard enough, I reckon. You just it's just one of those things that it's like a wicket keeper in cricket. If you haven't broken a finger, then you probably haven't been a great wicket keeper.
It's been hitting you in other places instead, which is the problem. Sunday Detch on the free throw line. New Zealand 0 from 6 from outside to start the game. Coming into the round, they were the #1 3-point shooting team in the competition.
Well, Jarrell Brantley 0 of 3 to start, and all 3 of them weren't close. One of them hit the other side of the backboard. One was a shot clock late heave. And probably the best looking shot that he should have taken. He ended up turning down and looked like he injured himself a little bit.
Sunday Hoops in the Hungry Jacks NBL, midway through round number 14. Adelaide have stormed their way into 4th position on the back of winning 5 of their last 6, and the New Zealand Breakers have been top 2 pretty much all season long on the back of plays like that.
And that's what I'm talking about. If you're Antonius Cleveland there, it's got to be a stunt to Will McDowell-White, get back to Barry Brown Jr. We know he's going to shoot it whether he's contested or not, and just see whether Will McDowell-White wants to take that shot and how it feels and looks.
Clark lays it up. It's that deficit back to 1 again. Still to come, Cairns in southeast Melbourne from the Cairns Convention Centre. Derek Pardon. The repair, but he stepped on the sideline, and it's a turnover for the Breakers.
And there you see the respect they have. It's a play that they run, a little cross screen and a down scrod followed by the down screen, and the whole purpose of it to try and put Pardon on that box. And both times he's caught it there, they've sent the double team. And when he kicks it out and they get into the rotations, we saw Brown knock down the 3. And that time there, just wasn't able to get it out of his hands quick enough.
A little bit of blood on Barry Brown Jr.'s arm.
Geez, they were quick to point that out.
Well, when you're 4 of 4 and you got 10 points, you're trying any means whatsoever to get him out of the game.
They old-fashioned dobbed on him then, didn't they? Well, he does have 10 of their 14. Ryan Rupert and Isaiah Liafa, the only 2 to hit a field goal for New Zealand in this opening quarter. It's the visitors who lead by 1. Shot clock at 9. McCarron. Hand off to Sunday Detch, who probably had more time and space than what he realised. Now they reset. Sunday Detch drives. Liafa got a piece of that. 3 on the clock. Detch has to fire it up. And the Breakers once again stand up defensively.
Well, had their chances. I mean, that layup. Yeah. Sunday Detch. Mitch McCarron made a really nice pass. It was a good cut from Sunday Detch, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to be making that one. New Zealand, we know how strong they have been defensively. They gave up a couple of offensive rebounds, but stuck to the task and got a shot clock violation.
No team in the competition concedes less per game than the New Zealand Breakers. 80 a game they allow the opposition. It's not the only defensive metric that's used, but it's still a pretty important one. McDowell White, nice finish off the glass.
What it is, and I think a lot of it also has to do with the way in which they play offense, is that they're very controlled and methodical on the offensive end, and that puts them in good defensive positions and don't always get exposed in the defensive transition, but Dremick just bullets his way to the basket and throws one up that drops in.
He's playing really well as of late, Anthony Dremick. Just a couple of games and he was coming off the bench, but I think they look better when he's in that starting lineup and playing really aggressive.
Just going to fix the clock up, slight issue there.
10.5 points a game. Just only shooting the 3 at 30%, but we saw on Friday night back-to-back threes out the gate. You can do that really quickly.
Liafa. Off to Brown, across the face from Ian Clark. They're all up and in on Brown at the moment. That time, basket won't count. Offensive foul.
That's what you got to do when he's on the floor. Yes, he can shoot the perimeter, but what he does do, it might have been a foul there, he's got to build a wall. And you see the blue jerseys in front of him with the help position, and might have been a little stiff.
Oh, that's his second foul as well. And you heard a little bit of a chatter to the referees saying to watch the game. I think that was about that first one, the swipe from Ian Clark, but I like that. You know, he's an offensive threat from Ian Clark. For a team that has been pretty poor defensively throughout the season, he's trying to set a tone, be a little bit more aggressive, bit up and in.
Dremick lost the handle again. It's that suffocating defensive pressure of the Breakers. And they force Adelaide into their 5th turnover of the opening quarter.
It is, and you can see the intent of the Adelaide 36ers. They're really putting a priority of putting the ball on the floor and trying to get to the rim. And because of that, they're driving into traffic. And an example is that last one that just got to be strong with the ball and hang on to it if you're going to go in there amongst the forest.
Liafa buries it.
Set up by Barry Brown Jr. If you're Anthony Dremick, all the help is to the left side of the screen. You can't let him refuse and get downhill, because then you're in an odd man situation and you have to come off the strong side corner.
His first 3 of the game, Isaiah Liafa. Top 7 in the competition in that stat. And Adelaide turn it over, which really tells a lot of the story for them in the opening quarter. The Breakers lead it by 4 at the sold-out Adelaide Entertainment Centre on Sunday Hoops. Great to have your company once again. Sunday Hoops starts at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. The sold-out sign is up on the door for the third straight 36ers game. But unfortunately for the home fans, it's been the Breakers who have got out of the gates fast, and they lead 19-15. Pete Hooley and Andrew Gaze.
Well, I think we saw the first quarter what Barry Brown does, but what New Zealand do defensively. If you have to break off plays and try and go one-on-one, it's just not going to work over the course of a game with how strong this team can be on the defensive end. New Zealand, after that big layoff, as we see a turnover here, Adelaide out in transition. It's going to be the easiest way you can score against the Breakers off a turnover. They lost to Tasmania, who execute really well in the half court. They slow things down. They make sure they set strong physical picks to get everybody open. If you just have to rely on some one-on-one efforts, it's not going to work over the course of 40 minutes against New Zealand.
Barry Brown, the leading scorer in the game. He's got 10. Rob Lowe in late in the first quarter. Standing out there to start the second. Cam Glidden also out there starting the second quarter for New Zealand. Franks drives. It goes.
Well, he gets the whistle, throws it up, and the prayer gets answered. And they continue to do what you were talking about, Halls, and just see on the Amy replay from the top this time rather than the wing. Franks just gets to the rim and gets fouled.
A no-pass offense. And that's what I'm talking about. I mean, Robert Franks good enough to take the contact and score, but you look back to the first 2 minutes of the game. It was Robert Franks isolated, started 0 of 2, and then he hit that 3 ball in a one-on-one situation. If you're New Zealand, yep, it's a 3-point play and a foul, but they're playing right into your hands.
Marty Mayor, the coach of the Breakers. Very short leash this afternoon. Rob Lowe taken straight out after that play.
I think it was a combination of the offensive play followed up by that defensive play that just got the attention.
Jarrell Brantley with his first field goal. A little bit of a shaky start for him, but having a wonderful season, no question about that.
When he loves playing against the 36ers as well, averaging almost 20 and 10 in the 2 games against the 36ers. Again, a really nothing play. Come down and just make it a one-on-one contest. Well, that's what they're trying to do.
Franks has 6 points, 4 rebounds as well in the opening quarter, but was stripped by Brantley, and Adelaide gave up on the play, which meant that New Zealand had the outnumber, and Derek Pardon with the jam.
Well, you hear CJ Bruton, he was barking DHO, dribble handoff to the corner. Didn't happen, and Jarrell Brantley has been ultra physical to start this game on Robert Franks, and there's 2 big men running the floor.
Love the ball pressure. Makes it hard to get started and also makes it hard to make those passes and always give yourself a chance to do what happened then, and that's caused the turnover.
Soto from the elbow, stepped into that jumper. Here's Derek Pardon with the rebound. 6th in the competition in that stat. 4th in the competition in blocks. Glidden for 3. The Breakers have come out firing in this second quarter, and CJ Bruton has seen enough.
Well, you can't lose Cam Glidden. Feet set. That's going down as Anthony Drimmick just at the last second thought he might try and go underneath that screen. Tell you what, both Derek Pardon and Jarrell Brantley, when they set screens, they mean it.
Huh. They've scored the last 7, the New Zealand Breakers. Some work to do for the 36ers. 7:57 remaining in this second quarter. John Casey caught up with Antonius Cleveland pre-game, and we spoke about the Adelaide crowd and how they're flocking in their droves to the entertainment centre.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. The way it keeps selling out. You know, our start was a little rocky, but, I mean, they were still packing it out, man, and it's crazy. I didn't expect that when I came here. I wasn't familiar with the fans of last year. I definitely didn't expect this, but I think it's the best fans in the league right now, in my opinion. So it's pretty exciting, and as a player, that means a lot.
Now, you are the resident South Australian at this desk, Peter Hawley. These are some big numbers the 36ers are putting up.
It's incredible, and it's a big testament to them. As you said, they struggled to start with, and they've had their moments, but they continue to rock up, and why wouldn't you? I mean, best city in Australia. It's a beautiful place, best football team in Australia.
Right.
So why wouldn't you? And also, that's what you want to hear. It's very unlikely you're going to hear a guy for a team say, Oh, we're the third best fan base in the league. Very unlikely. Could
We're
happen.
chipping away. Hopefully they'll lift a little bit. But just being a South Australian. Oh, well, hang on. Before we get onto that business, Latrobe coughing up 50K for someone.
Yes,
just
please.
jump on the NBL website. Away you go. And who knows, 50K might jump in. That'd be nice.
Yeah, nice little injection to start the new year, wouldn't it?
But as the courtesy of the great folk at Latrobe Finance, I tell you, if you're going to get financing, if that's what they do it magnificently. That's what they do, and just jump on board with them because they are terrific.
But help you count yours, I believe.
My folks have got all their super in Latrobe.
Is that right?
That's true as I sit here today. Hey,
I'm sure they'd appreciate you revealing
There's
those
no
sorts
better
of-
person to have a plug than the GOAT.
No, just as the resident South Australian, and I know he's only been there a short period of time, but what does it is when the fans are pegging it out? They're still pegging it out. What does that mean?
He said packing it out.
Oh, packing it. I didn't know what pegging was. Packing makes a whole lot more sense.
Well, these are conversations we will not have now.
We're going to save him 26-20. Breakers lead by 6.
I wondered what was going on. You looked very confused about that entire
couldn't figure it out.
Between that and Rob Franks not knowing what the Moles balls were a couple of weeks ago,
Never a dull day with the GOAT. Never a dull day. And McCarron hasn't scored in the game so far. Feeds Franks down low. That's tough over the top. Second time around, wanted the foul. Good enough to put it back in.
and that was a better offensive set. You saw where Robert Franks started. They got him on the block with a bit of a mismatch. He missed the first one, got his own effort. He's got 5 rebounds on the game so far to go with 8 points. That looked a lot better than just letting him bring it up or throwing it straight into him and trying to go against Jarrell Brantley, who answers straight back, and that's his second bucket in the exact same fashion he got his first.
Well, they were running that play for Pardon for a lot of the game. This time they go to Brantley. With Pardon, they were sending the double team. They make it a one-on-one contest down low, and Brantley penalises them.
Here's CJ Bruton. He's not happy with the physicality New Zealand is showing defensively. Cleveland fixes that and just drains a 3 over the top.
He's giving a nice little high five to Jarrell Brantley. Jarrell Brantley just saying, that's a tough hit. And I'll tell you what, I reckon within 60 seconds, Jarrell Brantley might be whistled for a foul because he is being ultra physical playing on Robert Franks. CJ Bruton is barking away.
Abercrombie, nice hit from the elbow. Every time that Adelaide managed to find a bucket, New Zealand quickly get one back.
And I love the way Abercrombie's come back into this team as well. With his reputation and history, he hasn't tried to impose himself. He takes what's given, and he's been really efficient for most part on the offensive end.
Here he goes again. Fouled, it goes! The Breakers are firing on all cylinders.
But again, that starts from Derek Part on the defensive end. The ability to steal that Anthony Drumming. He is an elite defender in his position, and he can switch onto a guard and then Tom Abercrombie open floor. That is veteran savvy. Just a little bit of a bump. Make sure Cleveland couldn't jump to try and contest it. And one opportunity.
Game high 7-point lead now for New Zealand. And they've spread the load. Everyone except Vodanovic and Rob Lowe, who have been on the floor in this game, have scored. Cleveland. Give it back to McCarron. Top of the key. 8 on the shot clock. He gets down low. The foul came before the block.
Pink 0. Shot.
It's not a highly sophisticated offense that the Adelaide 36ers are running now. Just 1 or 2 passes, and then it's just about trying to penetrate and dish, and it's finding that balance between trying to suck that defense in for the kick out for the 3 ball or trying to finish around the rim. And it puts a lot of pressure on the defense.
Well, attempted 6 threes so far, and 2 of them are pretty early on. So they are putting a lot of emphasis on trying to get into the paint. Draw some fouls, and this is what there might be a lot of physicality on the defensive end from the Breakers, but it's a bit like how Tasmania are. They do it from the opening tip, so they don't just try and turn it up and ramp it up where it looks obvious that there is maybe
Mitch,
some hand checks being
I
not called.
initiated, okay? We don't need that, all right? Come on, mate. Tom and I, can you watch them a little bit?
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Yeah, no worries. One shot.
Exchange there with Chris Reid and the Adelaide captain.
What they're also doing is trying to play through Franks a little bit more. It was early on in the fourth period in the game on Friday night against the Hawks, and Franks had only taken 5 field goal attempts. He's already got the 8 points and 3 of 7 from the field.
Harden, big offensive rebound. Slips through the fingertips of Abercrombie, and Monty Mayor.
Well, I would assume Monty Mayor is upset that either Tom Abercrombie didn't cut or didn't move from the post up, because
exactly what
there is no way he is upset with that bullet pass from point blank from Derek Pardon. If that is a little higher up, that is straight in the nose of Tom Abercrombie.
Cleveland steps inside. Great move. Little mini run here for Adelaide. They've got it back to a 3-point game. It was as high as 7 not that long ago. Here's Tom Vodanovic. Puts his own rebound back. He's still going. Doesn't get that one to drop either.
On the rebound for Robert Franks. 6 rebounds already.
Foul on the Breakers, and that will be free throws for Adelaide. So New Zealand are going to spend the back half of this quarter now over the limit.
It is, and that's the risk you take when you're being this super aggressive, and I love it. I love the way the New Zealand Breakers are taking it. Ball pressure all over the place, and it does put a lot of pressure on the officials.
Timeout called by the Breakers. With thanks to Sportsbet, every dunk during the month of January, Sportsbet are going to kick in $500 to Australian prostate cancer. Before this game started, Pete, we'd had 40 dunks in the month of January so far, which means 20K.
Oh, it's fantastic, and can continue to rise. Already had a couple in this one as well.
It is a 32-29 lead for the Breakers, but Monty Mayor not happy with everything that he's seen. He's the one that's called the timeout. Let's get courtside to John Casey.
I'm here with the triple Adelaide Championship winner, Rupert Sapwell, part of the massive crowd. Now, you guys attracted a crowd back in your day at 98, 99, 02, but this is next level.
It is next level. I mean, more than 9,000 each time. It's been, and rocking too. When we first moved to the entertainment centre, I was thinking, is the noise going to be the same? But they've done a fantastic job with it, and game night is a real experience.
Tell us, what are you seeing in the game at the moment?
Oh, an extreme level of physicality from the Breakers. It's unreal. So, you know, there's no question why they're at the top of the table. Their physicality on defence and rebounding is outstanding.
And what do you suggest Adelaide do to counter that?
Match it. Yeah.
Just bring it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a war, so good luck to them.
And you're happy to see Adelaide back fighting for a championship or a playoff spot after 4 years without being in the finals?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're in the mix now for sure, but I think the thing for them is, A, winning at home, which they've been doing. People have been turning up, so really creating an environment for them. And then, you know, getting it done at the defensive end.
Always good to see you, Rupert.
All right, thanks, guys.
He's always got a colourful shirt on as well, Rupert Sapwell. There's a couple of championships that he was a part of.
My word. And the man that brought back into vogue, never really caught on with too many others, the bank shot. But I'm not just talking to the bank shot around the rim, like the three-point bank shot, the mid-range bank shot, just made it out of it. Timmy Duncan was the other one in the NBA that he was exceptional as using the glass. But Rupert Sapwell was, by design, relied on the bank shot.
Using the facilities.
He's, that's right. It's not an ornament up there. It's there to be used. And his son, though, fortunately for him, never adopted that particular line of play, who's now, I think, on the Brisbane roster. Spent Brisbane last season with the Ballarat Miners.
Oh, he had a nice career, Colin. 7 on the shot clock. Liafa swings to Abercrombie. His shot blocked. Great D by Cleveland. The Karen wasn't there in time, has been called for the block.
Oh, it didn't look like there was a whole lot of contact anyway. I thought that probably could have gone unwhistled, but what a pass from Isaiah Liafa. You thought the lob was coming, and then Antonius Cleveland. That is just straight athleticism. Oh, look here. So that athleticism to close out and block that, and I think
it's a no call.
That's a no. I'm with you. I think that can probably stay unwhistled and continue on the play. If McCarron wanted to charge, you can. That was probably the lowest percentage of that one getting called.
That wasn't happening. Danovic tees off. Breakers are starting to get their three-point game going now.
Well, overall, they're 51%, 4 of 12 from the three-point line.
Clark banks that home.
You can hear CJ almost every possession asking and just trying to remind the officials that there might be some contact with the hands. Vodanovic, when he gets his feet set, you think of 4 men that can shoot the ball, and that time there, Clark steps through, and of all the contact that's been out there, that was probably the least of some of them. That gets whistled.
He's got 5 points, hasn't missed from the field. He's just officially lodged 6 minutes, so by the time it gets to halftime, Drew, he's on track for the 20 minutes in the game. I'm with you. I think if you're going to bring him in, and now that he's got his feet underneath him, this is someone who should be playing fine, high 20s. He's just that electrifying, and his presence on the floor, I think, will be a lot more calming to this Adelaide 36ers outfit.
Vodanovic with 1 on the clock. That shot was blocked as well.
That's an offensive foul. Just holding back. Normally we see it in the post, a little chicken wing, a little off arm. That's going to be 3 fouls on Antonius Cleveland. I don't know, look here, that's what they're calling it right there. It's a great call.
Yeah, of course it is.
He just didn't have to do it.
Cleveland will sit down in foul trouble.
Third.
You're right, Pete. There was just no need for him to do it. He was already ahead of Abercrombie.
Tom Abercrombie, an elite defender, but you're right. He already had a step past, and on the open floor, Antonius Cleveland, those long strides, he's gone. Just trust your athleticism, and there you go. That helps.
Sunday Detch with the steal and the layup. We're locked away at 35 at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre.
Well, we heard Ruben Sappel say it and what the answer is, and what we've seen the last few possessions, they've actually done. They've actually taken a leaf out of the Breakers' book, and they're trying to be a lot more physical, and they've come up with the turnovers and some blocked shots, and it's been looking good for the 36ers on the defensive end.
Taipans and the Phoenix to come as soon as we finish off here. Two teams, finals implications that game.
That's great defense from Sunday Detch, one-on-one. Allow Robert Franks to come and send the double team. Have a look here. Robert Franks, great positioning just to show the crowd, and you just got to play through your chest. Sunday Detch, and then the hands came in for Robert Franks. We haven't seen that enough this season.
That seemed like a pretty quick jump ball.
Well, if you say it is, I'll back you.
Well, I'm not sure you will, but yeah, it did look quick.
Chris Reed, Mark Grist, Nathan Durant. The 3 men in charge this afternoon. Adelaide have got this back to a 2-point game. McCarron inside to level it up. And Dow White gets things moving quickly. Look at this ball movement from New Zealand. They made the most of the outnumber.
Well, that's Will McDowell at his best. We know he can clean up the glass on the defensive end, and then he pushes it in transition and is just so patient, doesn't try and force anything. Have a look here. Here goes Will McDowell. Everybody's going to run. He's got options everywhere. Picks Isaiah Liafa, relocates straight away. Doesn't try and force anything, just takes his time. Draws Daniel Johnson. Easy bucket from Derek Pardon.
Breakers lead it by 4. Earlier today, John Casey caught up with one of the stars of this competition, Barry Brown, whose season continues to build. He's now top 3 in the competition for points per game, and John Casey asked him whether he could in fact be an MVP candidate.
Did you expect to come here and, as I say, be an MVP candidate in your first season in the NBL?
Me and Coach Modi talked about what the expectations were of me, and I think that we were just kind of trying to just get the best version of myself that I could be, and we know that the sky's the limit for me as far as reaching my potential, and he's been doing a great job of kind of allowing me to see that untapped potential for sure.
Well, across the season, we've spoken about names like Cooks, like Creek, like Pinder, like Cotton, Milton Doyle. I must admit, Barry Brown's name hasn't come up too often. Is a bit of that to do with the fact we've only seen them 3 times in the last month, potentially? Have we almost forgotten about him?
Well, I don't think we've forgotten about him. I think it's more, I mean, everyone's had him kind of as the lock early on, as the 6th man of the year. No doubt about that. And I mean, they have only played the 3 games in a month. Corey last night was the big advocate for it. He was the one throwing his name out there saying, why are we not talking about what he's producing? I think he's going to struggle to take the votes off the likes of what Xavier Cooks does besides scoring. Same with Mitch Creek, not just scoring. But he's had a tremendous season.
Sure has. Final import signing for the Breakers, and he's been outstanding.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see whether he actually qualifies for the six-man award now that he's now starting, has been starting the last couple of games. I don't know what the actual criteria is. You actually, I think.
So I believe it has
the award. Very great authority.
No, I think I'm
the chairman of the selection committee.
But I'd like to put my 2 cents in with a nice, thorough article. But I love the awards debate, because if you can bring a strong justification as to why you think someone deserves to win, I'm all for it, and I love that conversation.
You need rules.
I think the rule is it comes down towards the end of how many games towards the end of the season, towards the last game you have played.
Well, then let me ask you about Daniel Johnson.
There's another one.
With he's come off the bench the last 6 games. Does he start to put himself into contention for Sixth Man of the Year? Loose ball. Referees let it go for a while.
Well, there you go, Drew. You had the quickest jump ball of all time about a minute ago, and then you had the longest one here.
It's going to go the way of the Breakers. Good help defense. And then it's just a scramble.
Harris a little out of control.
Yeah.
Mitch McCarron sits down. A minute 34 before half-time. The Breakers second on the table right now. 12 wins and 6 losses. Adelaide, as we mentioned, off the back of winning 5 of their last 6, are now into 4th, 11 and 9. And they're making a few teams in that finals contention pretty nervous, I'd imagine.
There is a logjam around the playing tournament spots.
Liafa, good look. He's feeling good.
Well, I think he's one that you've got to think twice about going underneath on, because he can fill it up. He gets hot. He's one of the better in the competition. Can be a little streaky, but already made one. See here, under there, and then it's just a game of horse whether he's now going to make it or not, because there's no pressure on that shot whatsoever.
Well, he shoots 38% from 3, but normally the blanket rule on a rescreen. So he went underneath the first one, was a little deep, but if there's a rescreen set, you've got to fight over. If there's that second screen comes straight back from Rob Lowe, there's no other rule. You throw it out the window, you've got to fight over. But Rob Lowe also a bit of a veteran move, just trying to dive and take him out of the way and give that open 3-ball.
Your chance to win the trip of a lifetime to the US. You and a mate can meet Shaquille O'Neal. Flights, accom, spending money included. You can enter now, and you can also enter on the NBL website. If you can't scan the QR code. Hands on a pair of pumps on Friday night, Drewy.
I know, and they look delightful.
Yes, please. Too cool for me, I think. Franks down the lane with the left hand. Is it Ventress?
Just looked like he was setting up for a little bit of Statue of Liberty type throwdown. Keeps the ball out. Brantley didn't want any of that. Fouls him, puts it in line to shoot a couple.
I like the mutual respect being shown here from a couple of players. Cleveland hit a 3 in Jarrell Brantley's face, and he gave him a nice high 5. And then Brantley, they're always going to compete. They're going to chirp. But I like that from both sides.
Good free throw shooter.
Oh, you're kidding. You are kidding me.
He's 78%.
He hadn't even released it.
Just checking the numbers, and he
ball wasn't in the air.
Very solid.
I'll go again then.
Adelaide within 4. 10 and 13 from the stripe. See, the Breakers have only had 5 free throw attempts in the half, but are shooting 52% from the field. McDowell White swings to Liafa. He's got another one.
That's just beautiful from Will McDowell-White.
We had choices. Lowe was the little Spain action that they run. Lowe was going to be open as well.
Isaiah Liafa, now the Breakers' leading scorer with 11. And he's the leading scorer in the game. Shot clock is switched off. Brantley hands off to McDowell White. Liafa behind the back. Abercrombie is going to have to get creative. He's fouled. Adelaide have got one to give.
Not a bad foul. 1.8 seconds to go.
It is, and that was really good rotations. You talk about hedging and stunning. That time it was full rotation. And they took away the shot from Izzy Leafa, who has been on fire. 3 of 5 from the three-point line.
1.8 left on the clock. Breakers have got a timeout to burn, so Monty Mayor going to try and draw something up here. Pete, just take us inside these huddles. What can you create in 1.8 seconds?
Oh, it's going to be pushed to 2.4, so even more. You've got a whole lot of time. A chance for a potential shot fake. Someone flies by, even a quick sidestep three ball. Well, if you get it to somebody, say a Jarrell Brantley type at the high post, it's a quick rip and you get a little floater up. So 2.4 seconds might not seem like a whole lot, but you're going to have options galore. I would make sure that ball is in Will McDowell-White's hands to make the decision.
So when it is in this situation, Drewy, from a coach's perspective, is it as much about what happens off the ball in terms of getting someone open?
It can be, because it depends. Like, I agree with Hulls. You've got enough time for a catch and a bounce and maybe even an extra pass for someone. So it does come down to how much time you've got and who you're trying to get the ball to. But on this one here, it's not uncommon with coaches when they see these types and with this time left that CJ may actually think about going into a little bit of a zone
for sure,
to bust up a play and not get caught out on it.
Either a zone or switch everything and maybe put Kai Sato's length on the ball, which looks like they're going to do. But I like Will McDowell-White. Let him make that decision, and they should have numerous guys potentially who get a shot off.
Let's see what they can conjure up.
Oh,
this is a good one for Lowe, who can shoot the three ball. That doesn't stick. The Breakers lead 45-38 at halftime. They've got a fantastic record on the road this season. They're 6-2, and they put themselves in a good position to make it 7-2 on the road at the main break. Adelaide are around the mark. You can see Monty Mayor just questioning a couple of the calls. But he's got a lot to be happy about. Let's get down to John Casey with Will McDowell-White.
Got Will McDowell-White here with you. Well played, Will. How's the knuckle holding up there coming back from that broken finger?
No, actually, it's a little sore. It's been knocked around a little bit already, so yeah, just trying to play through it.
Saw you grimacing a little bit. Can you actually control the ball as well as you'd like with your hand at the moment?
No, well, especially with the taping, it kind of takes my index finger off the ball, so yeah, there's a little less grip and coordination with it, so just got to get used to it.
You're playing well as a team, though, up 7. That's good sign so far.
Yeah, that's good. Probably more myself. Got to start locking down on defense, get some stops.
Appreciate your time. Good luck in the second half.
Thanks, guys.
Good to see him back into the team after being out on Wednesday. Will McDowell-White is an Australian player with a lot of potential, and still only 24 years of age. Let's learn a little bit more about Will McDowell-White. McDowell-White, feet set, got it.
Yeah, relationship with Modi is pretty tight. I remember when I first got here, I don't think he really saw that much. He was like, oh, it's another guy. But yeah, pretty quickly, really took me under his wing, and he's been in my ear almost 3 years now. I go to him for advice even off the court now. It's not even just about basketball, it goes beyond that. And you know, it's pretty special, and as weird as it sounds, this is like a coach that I can't lose. Yeah, the phone call with the Boomers, it was quick, probably because I just wanted to hang up real quickly and start screaming. It's something you grow up wanting to do, and the first time you put it on, it's just a different feeling. You know, you hear about the culture, and to actually live it, it's just like, man, like there's literally nothing like it. I just want to keep being a part of it. Confidence is a lot. Going away with the Boomers took it to probably another level, and now I kind of feel like I belong.
Shannon Scott stole it away, but McDowell-White stole it back for 3. Got it!
Oh, dear.
I want to build that consistency of just being the guy.
Oh my glory.
We are putting on a show here.
We've got some balls in the family, a lot more kids to come through, hopefully. Mum was a basketball player herself, but Dad was really a driving force. Him growing up, sport was kind of his way out. You know, he didn't have the easiest childhood at all. He used that to make our lives easier as kids, and you know, that's something that we want to do in return now, and yeah, hopefully he can just put his feet up in the next couple of years.
All right. I'll have a sleep. I'll catch us all later.
Welcome to NBL Weekenders, a series where your favourite hoopers will jump off the court and onto the tools with help of the team at Bunnings.
Just pulling up at Bunnings. I think I need a new fire pit. Thank you. Probably 4 of these, perfectly around. This is me, we'll get this one in the car. You've made this trip so much easier because I had no idea. All right, 4 chairs done. Fire pit will just go perfectly in the middle here. Everything's matched up and hopefully it all finishes the way it started.
You're watching Sunday Hoops here in the Hungry Jacks NBL. The New Zealand Breakers second on the ladder and they're showing us why. They lead 45-38. Outscored Adelaide again in that second quarter, and their physicality at times has been a problem for the home team in this one.
Yeah, it certainly has, and they clearly came out with some intent, which we've seen all season. They've been a really physical, putting a really strong emphasis on how and which they want to set the tone on the defensive end. It's been part of the key to their success. And then down the other end of the floor, been super efficient. Struggled a little bit to start from the three-point line, but once they got that going, and close to 53% in that first half. So some questions, real genuine questions being asked of the Adelaide 36ers on both ends of the floor.
What are you saying, Pete?
Well, I think Adelaide looked a lot better when they actually got through their sets. You saw a couple where they didn't just throw the ball to Robert Franks, which has clearly been a main focus in this game. They've got him side to side, getting off a couple of screens where they might have to switch and they get a smaller guy on him instead of Jarrell Brantley. Then he goes to work. They've got to make a couple of extra passes. Anytime it comes down, it's a one or no pass offense and they try and break it off. You just can't do that. You can't sustain that against the physicality and the discipline on the defensive end from the New Zealand Breakers. They're going to make you pay. And I tell you what, if you're a New Zealand fan right now, you're just really happy to see number 7 running around, Will McDowell-White. How much better the team operates with the ball in his hands, it's night and day, and he's going to have a big say in their success towards the end of the season.
As we mentioned, it is 4th on the table versus 2nd on the table. The Breakers are looking sharp in the opening half. Here are some of the highlights from the game up until now, Drew. You can see that shooting percentage again, really nice for the Breakers.
It is, and what were they? They were 0 of 6 or 0 of 5 to start from the three-point line. They end up 6 of 16, so they really got that going. The Adelaide 36 is putting a lot of pressure on the Heat. Only have the 8 three-point field goal attempts, and then but because of that, they are getting to the free throw line. Have a look at that. Only 5 free throw attempts for the Breakers, and this game's, it's a 7-point game, but it's still very much in the balance. The Adelaide 36ers, they'd be disappointed at where they sat with trailing by 7, but pretty happy overall with how they've been going, I think, on the defensive end, despite giving up 53%.
Now have a look at this. This happened just a few moments ago at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. Bang from halfway.
Oh, just have to check the foot though. Very close. Oh, you'd be flat. I tell you what, you'd be flat. But there you go. That's how easy it is.
Well, there's just a little sound. $1,000. This gentleman might need to think about entering the Latrobe Financial Competition, the Legends Competition. $50,000 is up for grabs. And here's just a little sample of some of the half-court shots. Now, I'm not sure how many takes these ones each entail, but our mate at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre did it first time.
Well, sign me up for that, and anyone versus Scott Roth. So I'll tell you what, for Latrobe, whoever wins it, if they do hit it, 2-0 against Scott Roth in a half-court shootout, Latrobe might come off better.
The Breakers lead at 45-38 on Sunday Hoops. Half-time at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. The New Zealand Breakers lead 45-38 on Sunday Hoops. Fantastic once again to see a sellout for the third time in a row. Big time support from the South Australian basketball community for the 36ers. They are one of the hottest teams in the competition form-wise right now. Winning 5 of their last 6 and 5 in a row in this very venue. They're going to have their work cut out in the second half. Cleveland, that's the ultimate start.
Shooting three ball pretty well, Antonius Cleveland. Only 31% on the year, but getting better as the season progresses.
I know that wasn't a lot in it, but the mere fact that you were talking about at halftime, they went 3 sides to get to that. As we see Brown attack the rim, but they went 3 sides, had a little bit of cutting action, and opened it up for Cleveland. That's a charge.
Straight through the chest that time.
That's his 4th foul, Antonius Cleveland. So knocks down the 3 ball, and he's now going to have to sit down. So they did really well, Drury, as you mentioned. The first play, getting side to side, and then just a really quick one.
But why? See, this is the replay going underneath, wide open 3, and then it's a no-pass offense. Putting it to the deck, just bringing it down the floor and trying to attack. You can have that type of action at any stage. You can have that type of action in the last 8 seconds as much as you can in the first 4. So you can go through some sets and it can still end up in his hands.
Well, and that's why we saw that 3 ball. So Tom Abercrombie went underneath, but it's the 3rd side. Now, New Zealand, if we want to say they're the best defensive team in the league, they're going to be elite nearly every time down the floor. The only time you might catch them slipping or they might have a breakdown is towards the back end of the shot clock after they've had to rotate a few times. You play right into their hands when you get that no-pass offense.
It's pass from Liafa to Pardon. That doesn't go. Let's get down to John Casey. Had a chat with Moti Mayor, the coach of the Breakers at halftime. Case.
And what a great story it is, Jack. Moti Mayor, assistant coach last year, takes over a team on the bottom of the ladder, now has them in championship contention. He's a contender for coach of the year, but he's a very animated coach as well. I spoke with him at halftime and I said, are you happy? He said, no. I said, why not? He said, both teams have taken 18 shots inside the paint and they've taken 13 free throws and we've taken 5. The foul count is 14-8 against his team. He says they're not getting the respect that they deserve. And I said, but you must be happy with a 7-point lead. He said, I am, but I'm a coach. I have to be angry about something.
Brantley short. I think he's made his feelings known on the sidelines in the first half, the Breakers coach. Pass battered down defensively. It's those little things that the Breakers have become known for this season. It's knocked out of the hands of Liaf, or slipped out of his hands, I should say. It's an Adelaide ball.
Well, we've seen the physicality that Jarrell Brantley brings on the defensive end. Derek Pardon, one of the best defensive players in the competition, but I think with all of that, we've forgotten how elite Tom Abercrombie is on the defensive end. A top 3 the last couple of seasons when he's fully fit and healthy, and just little possessions like that. Doesn't do anything crazy, but his ability not to get screened, his ability to really hassle somebody and contest a shot with his length and athleticism goes a long way to making this team as good as they are.
And it's not always the same as like the jack jumpers who they'll extend right up the floor, but the pickup points of the Breakers, they're picking them up just around the centre line, no deeper than the centre line, and really starting to apply pressure a lot earlier than some of the other teams.
And that, you'd imagine, Drew, has got a bit to do with the 14 turnovers that Adelaide have had in the game.
That's true, and I think there's, to me, a lot of self-inflicted wounds by the Adelaide 36ers, not just with their turnovers, but some of their decision-making and what they're trying to do. It is hard when you're out there and you say, well, we're talking about get it side to side and run it, but when it's so physical, it is sometimes hard even to get to A to B with their cutting action, but certainly like to see a little bit more of that, just to loosen it up a little bit.
Well, they've been a pretty strong isolation team all season long, Adelaide. I mean, you go back to the start of the season with Craig Randall. They've gotten a little bit better in getting through offensive sets since his departure, but still at times they really do try and just break things off, and it might work against some other teams in the league, but it's just not going to work against this New Zealand team.
Sono lays it up. He's got 8 points on 4 of 6.
I think he's slowly growing this year and gets the opportunity to be in that starting lineup. And as you mentioned, Drew, he doesn't play starters minutes, but gets to have an impact in his role that I think will just slowly continue to grow as his career continues to grow.
Franks picks it off. One end to the other, and drives and draws a foul on the Arthur. That'll be his third.
Mayo asking us, Haley Arthur, would you like me to challenge it? I reckon we're going to get it.
Modi, just confirm, are you challenging the call on pick 2? Okay.
I don't often see that. I don't often see the coach asking the player if you'd like me to challenge it.
It's always tough to win these when you see the arms come down and there's a bit of a swipe at the ball. When they're straight up, you've got a reasonable chance, but on their first look...
So the challenge is on the hands foul.
Here, goes up. See him come down. Now, there's a lot of ball. This is a really bad thing for Breakers fans. I think that they'll win that challenge because
it's a lot of ball.
There's no arm at all. It was all ball. From that...
It's the side angle that really showed. And
it's all ball.
Well,
it'll need to be definitive.
Well, that's definitive. There it is.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
It's Chris Reed.
Coach's challenge is successful. There's no call on the play. We'll restart with a jump ball.
So the Arthur will have a foul taken off. We'll have a jump ball, and the Breakers lead by 3. Let's get courtside to John Casey.
I've got the chairman and owner of the Adelaide 36ers, Grant Kelly, here with me at the moment. Another sellout crowd, Grant, 9,368. Must be thrilled.
Yeah, thanks, Casey. Yeah, it's actually a record number, so, you know, great result. Thanks to our fans and our members of the City of Adelaide for supporting the team.
Near membership record as well, 200% increase in terms of your sponsorships. What has been the attraction to Adelaide this year, do you think?
I think the team's actually starting to produce results on the court. You know, we've won 5 in a row, and I think people just have a great game day experience. So it's a credit to Nick Barbato and the team for putting all that together.
And always entertaining in terms of the game. You've got some ground to recover here.
We do. They're a great side, and we'll give it a good shake in the second half.
Appreciate your time. Good luck,
guys. Thanks.
There's some great things happening with the 36ers. Driven gun successful on the 3. It'll be an Adelaide ball. So record crowd 3 times in a row. 9,263. 9,308 and 9,368 today.
It is a basketball city, though. It has been. If you go back and look at the history of the sport, they've had a great affinity with the game, and now they are starting to get some wins. Right time of the year. Everyone getting about and supporting. It's fantastic. And this is off the ball.
Push, offensive.
On Ian Clark. Now, this is what I was talking about before. Just trying to cut, and just the frustration with the physicality, I think, of that cut.
Hey, Robert, ask me about a call.
He's not. There's a tech, I think.
Technical foul.
Well,
Blue 20.
Yeah, it's no surprise. He was not happy at all, Ian Clark. And you're right, Drew, but this is where you do kind of need those bigs who can just set legal but physical picks to try and free up the guys to be able to get side to side.
And it's also with your technique and how to use the screen. If you're just running from A to B, then that contact that you're getting, we have a look. You see Clark trying to get through. He just push. Oh, you're joking, aren't you? You got called for that push-off?
Well, then I guess Ian Clark had your exact same reaction with maybe a couple of post-midnight words. Post-midnight words in there.
Stick around for the late show.
Gee whiz.
Brantley off the glass.
All 3 of his field goals have been from the exact same block, the exact same move. Couple of dribbles towards the middle. Doesn't matter how deep Robert Franks pushes him, he gets back to that left shoulder, right hand, and has finished all 3 of them.
It's back out to 6. Biggest lead in the game has been 7. Nice take from Soto.
That's just...
And there's a bit of tension out there right now.
Well, there is, and if you're Soto, you hear that whistle and you pick the ball up, you just have to launch it at the hoop. Doesn't matter if it goes close to going in, peg it at the hoop.
Piff it at the hoop, and then good things can happen. You can get lucky.
Ian Clark. Tarrant, Abercrombie is giving no space whatsoever. Franks backs in on Pardon. It's not an easy thing to do, and he's flexing as well.
So it should. That's it. It is a tough finish, but again, you see Tom Abercrombie, his ability to, one, close out and leaves his feet, but just to be able to get back in front of Mitch McCarron and stay down on that next one. That's an offensive foul there on Derek Pardon, moving, bumping the cutter. That's his third. This one's ramped up a bit.
Here's the last play. Pardon's been a pillar of strength in the middle all season. Frank's happy to tell him all about it. And then the offensive foul. A lot on the line this afternoon at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre, and Derek Pardon will come out of the game with 3 fouls.
If I'm Adelaide, you see the way how it's been so physical. You get a chance to really lift your physicality, and CJ Bruton's going to have you back.
Johnson hasn't made a field goal yet in the game. Rebound falls to Ian Clark, and he knocks that down. He's got 9. (51-49). Breakers lead by 2. McCarron strips Liafa of the ball.
Oh my.
I don't think he faked anyone with it, but it looked nice.
A bit unnecessary, you reckon, Drew?
No, it's...
Well, it's hard when you're faking with the left hand and the ball never got close to getting in that hand.
Not going to be part of the nominations for the Logies for Best Actor Award next year, I would have thought. Franks makes the first. Adelaide back within 1. Now, I'm not sure if you're aware here in the NBL, but we've got a little competition involving an MG ZSEV, and Andrew Gaze, you have been driving that very vehicle.
I could possibly be that exact one. Now, if you win the competition, I don't believe you're going to get the one I'm driving right now.
You'd at least hope you'd clean it.
But it is it's a delight. Electric vehicle, 100% electric, none of that sort of hybrid stuff, 100%. Beautiful.
1-point game. Nice hands from Johnson. Adelaide get the ball back with a chance to take the lead back as well.
They've listed their intensity. Maybe it takes that technical foul from Ian Clark just to get everybody a little bit more engaged, a little bit more fired up, and Rob Lowe is not happy with that reach from Robert Franks. Not so much Daniel Johnson, but Robert Franks all over his left arm. Got away with that one.
They've come from 6 down. Trailing by 1. Johnson had the seal on McCarron. And the help came, and then the foul on Drimmick.
Oh, I think the foul. There you go.
2 shots.
Underneath the hoop, and the referees have their work cut out for them the next 14.5 minutes.
Well, the idea was right. They tried to go to a little high-low action with the mismatch down low, and just the physicality of the Breakers were able to bail them out, as it has been for most of the game.
Brantley, 14.5 points a game. Best part of 6 rebounds a game. 1.5 assists, 1.5 steals. What a fabulous acquisition he's been for the Breakers. Pushes that lead back out to 3. Franks had the seal, but the pass wasn't to his advantage. Repair we haven't seen a lot of today. Brantley for 3.
Got his eye in at the free throw line, had his feet set. Extra pass. That is really good patience from the youngster. Round repairs. There's going to be a timeout here. Not to force that extra pass 3 ball. Good touch pass from Will McDowell-White. Puts the ball on the floor, and Jarrell Brantley, little shot fake. Drimmick didn't bite, so he just rose up and knocked it down.
After a pretty average start from outside, New Zealand have got their 3-point shooting clip to 41%. Jarrell Brantley with his first 3 of the game, and we're going to jump inside the Adelaide 36ers huddle with Coach CJ Bruton.
We're good. Again, instead of halftime, Mel. Be smart here. Keep value in the basketball. It's not that it's not on. It's on. But if you got it and they high front here, there's also the DHO on this side of the floor. Again, they're terrible at DHOs. Turn the corner here. That's a short roll. If you do it, you got to get out to get back in. Or get out and get out all the way out so we can turn the corner, and there's a kick out. Hey, so stay with 24, roll. Hey, right out of here right now, we're in staggers. Staggers, make a roll. Here we go. Keep locking up on D. Lock up on D.
6-point lead for the Breakers. Still to come today, Cairns and Southeast Melbourne. As soon as we finish off here, we'll take you to the Cairns Convention Centre. And a big shout out to the great people at Sportsbet. $500 for every dunk in the month of January go to Australian prostate cancer, and we are already above $20,000 to this fabulous cause.
Oh, very nice.
Clark out of the timeout. That's going to count. CJ Bruton will be happy with that. We had a listen to Adelaide. John Casey, you were taking a listen to the New Zealand Breakers.
Jack, real interesting dynamic in the huddle with the New Zealand Breakers. I have not seen a team this year that is as together as they are. Brantley seems to be leading it in terms of telling his teammates he loves them and hugging them and so forth. And this is a team that won their first 14 last quarters this season in 14 games. And in fact, in the 18 games they played, they've only lost the last quarter twice. They play for one another. There's certainly a great bond between them, to credit to them and the coaching staff.
And I think it's just such overwhelmingly good stuff to hear as Clark fouled. And I think the reason for that, Pete, is that the challenges that New Zealand have had in the last 2 seasons. They played 2 seasons in a row on the road, no home games. The ultimate sacrifice just to play their role in keeping this competition going. It's just great to hear that they're all on the same page.
Oh, absolutely. See there.
The other side of the floor, I have got no idea what he's doing. Okay.
That referee heard everything.
Let's go.
I need good shows.
I'm not sure.
I need good shows.
Well, it was after the shot, he just ran him over, ran Clark over.
So
it wasn't in the act of shooting. It was after he landed, and Lowe just went straight through Clark.
But if you're Adelaide right now, that play straight out of the timeout, as CJ Bruton called it, the staggers. They're 2 down screens away, and Ian Clark got the easy curl all the way down, and it was a goaltend in the end, and that's going to be an offensive foul call. Oh boy.
Well, they did that, and then the very next time down, they did exactly the right thing, except they ran it from the other side of the floor. But the execution wasn't as good. And we have a look at TJ with a... well, like I say, it's the hardest decision the officials have to make. It's easy when you see the replay, but it looked like there was a little bit of an exaggeration of the contact on that one.
Dow White inside for Lowe. Nice pass. Those points will count.
And also, you heard CJ in the background. He wanted the switch.
CJ, control your emotions.
Switch.
That was a clear goaltender, from my opinion, on this side. The ball was above the rim, he hits it away.
I don't think it was going to go in, though. That's...
Well, CJ Bruton saying that...
Not that that matters.
Replay, saying the ball wasn't above the rim.
Yeah, it was.
That's 100%.
I think it was going to be short.
Oh, it's going to be well short. No, it doesn't.
All that on the Amy replay. Johnson is going to find himself on the free throw line. New Zealand now over the limit as well.
And back to what Case was talking about with Jarrell Brantley and getting around the team. There was a couple of possessions earlier where he got that foul on Robert Franks in the transition, and he ran over to Derek Pardon, gave him a hug on the sideline, and obviously chatting about something. And Derek Pardon, who's sitting down with the 3 fouls right now.
Coming into today's game, Daniel Johnson, 59 of 70 from the line this season.
Okay, you too. You're going through the delay screens. It's not going around. You need to go around so you can impact.
And he goes 2 of 2. He'll come out of the game. Down to you, Case.
Just following on from Pete's comment about Jarrell Brantley, there was a very nice moment early in the game between Brantley and Antonius Cleveland as well. They were both going hard at it at both ends. Cleveland knocked down a 3, and it was draped all over him, Brantley, and he just shook his hand, high-fived him and said, "Too good, man."
An interesting interaction between them. Rayan Rupert pulls the trigger.
Well, after a tough start from the 3-point line, they have been elite. 8 of 18 now, up to 44%.
Here's the one. This is it right there, and just said that's a tough hit. And you love that, but they were going back and forth, and this is what Jarrell Brantley does. There's that conversation. This foul was called on Tom Dunovic, and he looks surprised. If you're Modi Mayo, you have had a successful challenge. I'd be thinking about, I thought the foul might have been on Rob Lowe, not Dunovic. So if you look at challenging that one, the only thing you're ever going to look at is who the foul was called on. So the foul's called on Dunovic, and jeepers, that's one where, and the way the coach's challenge is set up, if the foul is on Rob Lowe there and it's blatant, but it's called on Tom Dunovic, you're challenging what it's called. You're not going to get it overturned and put on Rob Lowe. It would have been a no call.
Dow White, ultra aggressive. He's now got 8 points to go with 6 assists and 3 rebounds. And at the offensive end of the floor, New Zealand continue to have an answer. It's out to an equal game-high lead of 9. Nice touch from Soto.
Double figures now, 10 points.
See the quarter-by-quarter breakdowns.
That's 2 now. Just bullied his way to the basket the possession before against Detch, and that time a little handoff, but that's too easy, and it's starting to get breaking down on the offensive end now for the 36ers as well. Turnovers have been an issue for both these teams, but 18 of them for the Adelaide 36ers. That's way too many. New Zealand haven't been taking care of it either. They've got the 13. It's a little 2-3 zone now. Adelaide 36ers.
And they've got to try something, because that possession before, Will McDowell had a layup. CJ Bruton was screaming. They're going down the middle of the floor to their right hand. And what did Will McDowell do? Turn the corner on his right hand and got to a layup.
Here comes Franks.
It's going to count.
Points are good.
It certainly gathered the ball, so although there's a couple of loping steps, it's absolutely going to count. Yeah. There's the contact and the N1 opportunity.
Wasn't anything fancy, but did enough in the open floor to have Will McDowell playing some twister out there.
He took a...
It was red, hand on red, foot on green. He'd be a bit of a twister play back in the day.
Still flexibility's not quite there as it used to be, but
14 points for Robert Franks, 7 rebounds, 3 steals. Much like the game on Friday night, slowly beginning to assert his authority. Quiet in the first half, now starting to have a say.
Well, they still made him an emphasis in the offense in the first half. I think you've got to do that. We've said it all season long that he needs to be their focal point. Can't afford to let him go into his shell. Even if he doesn't shoot the ball, run more stuff through him, because good things happen.
Now he pulls up for 3 and is fouled by Rupert. Back on the free throw line, shooting 3.
It's one of those ones where you could see he was calling for the switch, but Robert Franks never actually came off the ball screen, so there's nothing to switch there. Talk about the defense having to come together before you separate on a switch. Robert Franks just read that and took a little bit of a step to his left, and Repair was late and sent him to the free throw line.
Stick with us next. The Cairns Taipans play host to the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. That's 3rd versus 5th that game. If the Taipans win, they go within a game and a half of top spot.
A huge game for both those teams. And I know in this one here, Barry Brown has got the 3 fouls, but he's going to spend a lot of time on the bench. He played the 14 minutes. He's a perfect 5 of 5, so plenty of rest. Expect it's going to be a big 4th quarter for him.
I'm going to go to the line. That foul is on Ian Clark, just getting wrapped up on the screen.
Robert Franks and Derek Pardon now. having an animated discussion. There was a scrap going on, so Tom Vodanovic wanted a piece of it as well.
I know looks can be deceiving, but Derek Pardon's not the one that I don't want to get into any sort of altercation with unless I've got significant support behind me, and just got that look about him.
I'm not sure I want too much of Tom Vodanovic either, to be honest.
Well, I'll tell you what, colour me shocked that Derek Pardon and Robert Fraser having a few words, and the two players in from the respective teams was Anthony Drink and Vodanovic. This is what you can't do after that.
Strong chance for Burgers.
75% across the season, Derek Pardon. No Burgers as yet.
But give him a bit of the shush too. Give him after he made that one, he give him a bit of the AA shush, pipe down a little bit.
I don't want to be going back to the line because that combined with the hunger of South Australians when it comes to burgers.
It's better than a pie floater, that's for sure. Soto for a wide open Sunday Detch. That rattles out. And then Detch lost the handle. So the last possession of what's been a tough, physical third quarter is going to be with the Breakers. They shoot early. So it'll be Adelaide, in fact, through Franks. He doesn't get it to go either. This is going to be a big, big finish at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. The Breakers lead 68-63 on Sunday Hoops. We're getting to the pointy end of the season here in the Hungry Jacks NBL. As soon as we finish off here at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre, straight to Cairns, where the Taipans will play the South East Melbourne Phoenix. The Taipans 3-0 without their star Keanu Pinder. And the Phoenix have got injuries, they've got issues, and they are just at the point now where they're starting to hang on to their finals hopes.
Yeah, that's a huge game. I mean, every game, as we spoke about, is so important to not only the teams playing, but everybody else. You've got a couple of teams on the outside looking in who just need some other teams to lose to help their case while they keep winning, but also the race for second spot as well. It's so important to avoid the playing game altogether.
It's next on Sunday Hoops.
This 2-3 zone that Adelaide 36ers are using, it's been a little disruptive and taking away a lot of that penetration that we've seen from the Breakers early on.
Andrew Gaze and Pete Hawley in commentary. John Casey courtside. Lakers lead this game by 5. They've been in front for much of the game. Hare steps into the 3.
Has the confidence. Threw up close to an air ball in the 3rd. And this time, no hesitation whatsoever. And knocks it down. Some real confidence by the young fella.
And you can see why he's continuing to rise up. Those draft boards, even without playing, he was rising up. And there's Derek Parton. That's what he does extremely well on the defensive end. Alter shots. Look at the aiming replay. This is just tough. Just sizing up Robert Franks, steps into it. His ability to knock down the 3 ball, but it's his length and athleticism, much like Usman Jeng. I think he's probably a little bit more advanced in terms of that skill set. Speaking of advanced skill sets, Ian Clark does that at a very high level.
Ian Clark's numbers since coming to the Adelaide 36ers have been off the charts. His shooting numbers, mid-50s and from the 3-point line.
Here's Money with ball in hand. Parton stuffs it over the top of Soto. Caught him on the arm.
Well, he had the uncontested dunk to start with. Good extra pass from Bogdanovic. He tried to get Soto in the air. Didn't happen, and then he had to try and finish through the contact. Tell you what, this is it, Casey. He gave the shush before. He's back.
We went through our All-NBL first and second teams on Friday night at half-time. Harden was around the mark.
Yeah, I had him in my second
team.
team. Yeah. And Copes didn't, I don't think, if my memory serves me correct.
Drop your way to LA. Thanks to Hungry Jacks. Grab any large burger meal, enter the receipt code, you'll get 4 tickets, flights, spending money. And of course, you'll see a game of hoops in the States.
An All-NBL first and second team in those inside positions. And what a pass, what a finish.
That is a big-time finish. Wasn't quite perfect, but Kai Soto adjusts and stuffs it behind his head.
Could have dunked it with his head. He was up there.
12 points now for Soto. Drimmick trying to be aggressive on Barry Brown is called for a foul. Here's another look. Look at that.
Just throw it anywhere. He will go and get it. He's got the length, he's got the athleticism, and just helped it on its way, basically.
See, he just couldn't quite find his way into Friday night's game. He's had an impact today. The pride of the Philippines. Bogdanovic misses.
Well, it's been the last quarters of on the home court, the Adelaide 36ers. They've been able to crank it up, their defense, and they're doing it. Early signs here are good. Well, that's a wide open one as we take a look.
That is
just a bit of a nudge, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's Derek Parton. That's frustration because he's asking about all the other things that are going on. You just can't, at this point in the game. We talk about the discipline of the Breakers on the defensive end.
Replay center, we
That's
want to review the foul on
not it.
0 for an upgrade to unsportsmanlike.
And then having a look at this, so Drimmick is saying, Drimmick thinks he's already in the replay center and he's made the call.
So looking to see whether this is worthy of being an upgrade.
There it is. You look at Parton 0. That is an upgrade.
It will be.
There is absolutely no other intent other than the hip and shoulder. Drimmick out now. It might have been on the back of some other retaliation, but that has to be upgraded.
Derek Parton is no stranger. They're getting the crowd against him away from New Zealand.
He's normally pretty cool, calm and collected, Derek Parton.
Well, straight away,
of madness.
Straight away afterwards, he went to the referees basically saying you need to watch everything else because that was clearly he was frustrated of things that happened prior to the little hip and shoulder.
Drimmick's not unaccustomed to being the annoying type out there.
Oh, well.
And that's a credit to him. I say that as a compliment. You're out there and just trying to be disruptive. and he does it quite well, and sometimes he gets under the skin. So Drimmick with a little push off there,
Well,
not a lot in it.
It actually came mainly from Mitch McCarron. Mitch McCarron looked like he had a better shove, and Drimmick just happened to be right in front of McCarron, and maybe a last little touch.
So 4 for Pardon. Drimmick steps out of bounds now.
Gee. They've gone to this play a lot. The stagger away for Clark and either getting it to him coming off the top, or the last few times he's been able to curl on that trail. And it's been quite effective for the 36ers.
So much happening off the ball. See McCarron falling over there trying to chase Barry Brown around. Brantley right in front of the Adelaide bench.
That's a tough shot. Behind the backboard, high archer. Not quite Jordan Hunter type stuff from we saw last night, but still. Now we see here, fades a little too deep. Pass not perfect, so he's behind the board, gets it over the corner of the glass.
He was double teamed there. Rob Franks was right next to him on the left. Oh, Soto. Nick Marshall as well, triple teamed.
We give Nick Marshall, I think, a little tap as he walked by. Just a little tap to say.
Little how's it?
How do you get a good view of that, young man?
76-70, the Adelaide Entertainment Centre, a sold-out crowd once again. 46ers fans are seeing their team in a fight. Soto, 3 on the clock. Inside and scores.
Well, they've gone with Soto. It's usually Daniel Johnson playing the bulk of minutes, but Soto's been really good down low, presenting a good target on the offensive end.
Biafra. See a lot of him in the third quarter. Has 11 points, make that 13.
Well, it's a really good finish, but you see why they're going with Kai Soto. The defense where Barry Brown Jr. gets past his primary defender, and Kai Soto's just presence to stand really tall with the arms up and worried him out of getting anything at the hoop.
Well, we've seen Soto sometimes gets exposed on the defensive end when guys are coming at him. But particularly with Lowe out there, he's not the same sort of threat to beat him off the bounce. So the matchup for Soto is a lot easier.
It's a good pass. Great patience from Barry Brown. So 13 points, hasn't scored in a while because they're double teaming him. They're trying to get the ball out of his hands, and he knows that. He's become a bit more of a facilitator as Antonius Cleveland checks back into the game with the 4 fouls.
Rob Lowe had 17 points against the Phoenix. And in 3 games since, he's had 2, 0 and 4, albeit for limited opportunities. It's a funny one. Sometimes he's in the rotation, other times he's not.
I think it comes down to matchups and the opponents. He's had a few DNPs, I think, as well throughout the course of the season. So he's done some really good things, and again, that experienced veteran that's all about the team goals. No ego involved. It makes it a whole lot harder for youngsters sometimes playing that role. Oh! Soto with the baseline drive.
Now, Rob Lowe, why is he closing out to Soto like he's Steph Curry, leaving his feet on the pump fake?
16 for Soto, and then he sends that one out of there.
Having himself a game.
Well, this is one of the best games we've seen of Kai Soto in the NBL.
Rob Lowe jumping for joy. And it's game over.
That's nice. And then at the other end, he's growing in confidence. Here's his numbers. 16 and 3 with a couple of blocks. Brantley wide open off the inbound. Adelaide dodge a bullet. 5.5 minutes remaining. Walks into the 3. Maybe got a little excited.
Oh, just a little, I think. I'll tell you what, that is a heat check. Oh, he's just had a dunk and he's just given himself a heat check 3-ball.
Well, set up for the moment with what he's been able to do. In this one, just playing a very significant role in the offensive end.
Lakers Led it by 7 at half-time, 5 at three-quarter time, and they are statistically the best fourth-quarter team in the competition.
You put your hand in and left it there.
They score the most points in fourth quarters, and they concede the least points.
Well, Adelaide have been great. When you look at their last 4 games and the last 4 home wins, they've given up 69 points in the first 3 quarters, but only 18 in the final period. So they've been able to crank up their defence in last quarters, and it's been certainly was critical the other night against the Illawarra Hawks.
Barry Brown starting to put his stamp on the fourth quarter again.
There's a couple of passes, a couple of assists before that. That one there, that's what he does well. Creates the space and knocks it down.
They've got it back to an 8-point lead on Sunday Hoops. $82-74 at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. 4:51 remaining. An 8-point lead for the Breakers. It's a good spot for them to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk about the physicality. Because New Zealand have done it all game long, that's why they're in this position. Adelaide tried to ramp it up to respond, and they've done a really good job at that. But they started behind the 8 ball. They're always kind of playing catch-up. They've had a couple of fouls. Antonius Cleveland hasn't played a whole lot, and he's their guy who really likes to change the momentum of the game.
Well, when you look at this one and you're looking for key areas that the Adelaide 36ers will look back on, it's the turnovers. 20 turnovers, and we've still got half of the last quarter to play. So that's been a critical factor. Breakers, on the other hand, they're a bit high with the 13.
It's an 8-point lead for the New Zealand Breakers on Sunday Hoops. Just to give you some idea of what this game means for both teams, there's New Zealand, second on the ladder right now. Another win would take them to 13. They do have a couple of games to catch up on, but Adelaide, for all of their good work, Pete, winning 5 of their last 6. A loss today, it just put them back into that pack again.
No doubt, as you mentioned, with the playing tournament, it just makes it so interesting. You got teams trying to hang on to 5th and 6th, teams trying to get there, and then New Zealand trying to hang on to the second spot or top 2. It's a really nice finish. Antonius Cleveland sat for an awfully long time with the 4 fouls. Comes back in to try and Adelaide back in this one.
He was the spark in the fourth quarter on Friday night, Antonius Cleveland. He's looking to try and get Adelaide going again. This is a different opponent. Brantley, 1 on the clock. Rattles out, Soto drags in the rebound. Adelaide have not led since the score was 20-19. That is not going to help their cause. Turnover, 21.
There's just a little rush with that pass for Soto. This is the mark. It's that 5. They've been able to, every time Adelaide get it to 5 or 6, the New Zealand Breakers have been able to come up with some big plays just to give them that breathing space. They got a good stop the last possession. The Adelaide 36ers need another one now.
Fighting for position on the low block. Bangs in on Soto, and that will be free throws for the Breakers.
Second foul for Soto. Barton going to go to the free throw line. Another look here, and not a whole lot in it, but you don't have to do it. Just got to trust your length and play through your chest and try and wall up, or even try and contest the shot. He's got 2 blocks on the night. Anytime you go for that swipe back to the basket, you just put yourself in a potential to get called for a foul.
And when he's dealing with that little cross screen, he's also got to try and get through that screening action before he gets there half front and push Pardon a little bit further off the box. When he catches that deep, he's only a drop step away from a bunny around the basket. But the other big factor in this one for the Adelaide 36ers, the turnovers, 21 of them. In fact, you give up 21 turnovers in not a bad situation to only be down 8.
It's been a problem for them all season long, unfortunately. Time's not a factor as yet. McDowell wide inside for Pardon. Draws a hard foul. It's interesting you were talking before about whether CJ Bruton needs to shorten the rotation at the back end of the season. It certainly looks as though New Zealand have done that from the start of the season to now. It's a much shorter rotation than what we've seen.
Well, I think they've just got so much talent, but they've got guys who are more than deserving of minutes, which makes it hard. Here we are. Jared Pardon. It's just the crowd once, and then he knocked down a couple after that.
I tell you, interesting substitution. Just to go away from Daniel Johnson altogether. He's played 14 minutes, 0-2 from the field, and they take Soto out. And that's primarily because of the problems they're having on defense. They're going at Pardon, and he's fouled the last couple of possessions, but they bring in Kieran Galloway.
And that's what we talk about, but Galloway's minutes, when he has played, he's been great. But this is his first minutes of the game.
Yeah, that's why it's...
Oh, straight in. And that's what happens. Hasn't played. A little cold, no doubt. The same with Hiram Harris. You can argue that he's deserved of every bit of his minutes. But some tough decisions have to be made down the stretch.
Kieran Galloway's last 2 games, he's played 2.5 minutes and 1 minute.
It's a big situation to be throwing him in for his first minutes.
Brantley, feet set. This is everything. Abercrombie will have to get this thing up. The 36ers have still got a pulse. Galloway again. Time lock.
He wasn't shy. He's come on, and he's come on with a purpose. Straight away, he's 0 of 2 from the three-point line.
They're asking a lot of the young fella. No, he can stroke it.
Brown blocked. Big time swap by Cleveland.
Oh, what great hands, anticipation from Will McDowell-White.
Loose
Galloway
ball.
as well.
Adelaide get it back again. Now they need buckets. McCarron. He's off target. Franks with the offensive rebound and the foul.
I'll tell you what, if this is on Derek Pardon, that's an early shower.
Well, they got the result they really needed, but just good read, good attack on the rim by Franks, and he gets them both surrounded, gets them both to jump at the same time.
Foul's gone on Tom Abercrombie, thankfully, for the Breakers. Robert Franks, he is a beast on the glass tonight. 19 points, a chance for 20. Look at that, 12 rebounds as well. 3 of them on the offensive end, the extra efforts. Keeping Adelaide alive.
They're within 6. A minute 47 is an eternity. The Breakers looking to retain second spot on the table. Brown Jr. gets to work. The spin couldn't finish.
Pink 5. Block.
Well, we've seen some ambitious. He was
sort of a 360. Well, not quite a 360.
It's probably a 342. If he had the extra 18, I reckon he's laying it up.
342.
I think he was just 18 short. If he gets the extra 18 degrees, I reckon that's an easy layup.
And really good defense too. He was.
There you go.
Franks goes straight up, stays vertical, doesn't get the foul.
And Junior out for this possession. Cleveland. Great D from Abercrombie, but Cleveland just that little bit better.
It's tough.
It is. He's been really efficient. 7 of 8, spent a lot of time. Only played 19 minutes because he had those 4 fouls early in the third. And 16 points now. And in crunch time, we saw it the other night, they go to Cleveland and he delivers. He's been really good in big moments for the Adelaide 36ers.
So after this game for New Zealand, on Tuesday they'll travel to Perth and they'll play the Wildcats. Thursday they'll be back in New Zealand. In Christchurch they'll play Melbourne. And then on Sunday they host the Cairns Taipans at Spark Arena. So 2 of their next 3 at home. They're 12-6 right now. They are a couple of games behind other teams. There's the ladder as it stands.
Well, as we mentioned off the top, they've only played 3 games in a month. They've got a whole lot of games towards finals, which the positive is you get a chance to build momentum and continue to play. You can hopefully play at a high level. The other side of it is you do run the risk of potentially getting guys a little tired, a lot of backing up. I think as a player group...
Ray Wood. He's one of the superstars of another era.
Struggle to find the camera.
You just never know. We've got so many of them. You just never know which one's on.
That's true.
Oh, down White slips over. New Zealand get beyond halfway successfully. Good hands from Drimmick. He knocks it out of play.
Well,
he's saying it was last touched by New Zealand.
They can have a look at it.
You want to review it?
Yeah, so they can have a look at it in this situation. You don't need to be challenged. He's going to be right.
I think it did touch his hand.
He's going to have a really strong case.
Replay center, we have the request from the on-court officials to review the play on the out of bounds.
You can hear the explanation there. So that's not Anthony Drimmick challenging or requesting it. That's the on-court official saying there may be a strong chance.
Well, it's on the advice and strong recommendation from him.
Well, you have to pick and choose, though, because every player wants a strong recommendation. But based on that...
quick review, because that's clearly come off. But
can do in the last 2 minutes of a game.
Great recovery from Anthony Drimmick. He's that confident that he's going to take the ball out, whereas the Breakers are ready to set up a baseline out of bounds. So if I'm Anthony Drimmick, or if I'm Robert Franks or someone, I'm just sneaking down the back end.
He's seen it too, Modi. He's come on, match up, boys.
We're still waiting the
what are we waiting
official
for?
verdict.
Go ahead.
Here we go.
Adelaide ball.
The home fans love that one. They've scored the last 5, Adelaide. It's a 2-possession game at the Entertainment Centre. Oh! Tonius Cleveland, downhill, and then the stuff.
What?
That is a perfectly executed change of direction and crossover dribble.
Big time play down the stretch. Adelaide are charging towards the end of this one. Breakers in possession, a minute remaining. Liafa with a hand in the face, that's a tough look.
Well, he's been the man so far. Cleveland, limited action. You're going to be seeing that dunk, that play for a long time.
He swings to Drimmick for the lead. It's short.
Great pass. Don't need a foul, just need a really solid possession. Both teams in the bonus.
With Dow White playing with a broken finger. Shot clock at 10. Brantley, guarded by the youngster Galloway. Muscles in, no call. Franks drags the rebound in.
Gotta go.
They can tie it or win it. 8 seconds remaining. Clark for 3. It's no good.
Good look.
New Zealand come up with the ball and they hang on.
What a
Their
look.
record away from home speaks for itself this season, and they've done it again. 85-83. What a game.
They would not want any other person in that position. Ian Clark had a great look.
Perfect look for the win, and they go for the win. Here it is here. A little bit of confusion. Don't know what Izzy Loa was thinking. The other just flies by him, and that's a good a look as you want when you're looking for that game-winning 3-ball.
Disappointment for the 36ers, but New Zealand solidify their spot inside the top 2. There's our Foot Locker player of the game, Jarrell Brantley. What a spread. All 5 starters for New Zealand in double figures.
Yeah, you could have made a case for many. Will McDowell White as well, but I thought Jarrell Brantley really set the tone with his physicality on the defensive end, and in the end, what a game.
Oh, what a game. We're going to come back and wrap it up on the other side of this. You're watching Sunday Hoops. great win for the New Zealand Breakers. 85-83, they win at the sold-out Adelaide Entertainment Centre. It went right the way down to the wire. Jarrell Brantley, outstanding with 15 points. He was our Foot Locker player of the game.
It was, and they did it in a lot of self-inflicted wounds by the Adelaide 36ers. 23 turnovers. Brantley, after a shaky first quarter, really got it going from then on out and knocked down some three balls and come up with some big plays down the stretch. There you see the numbers. Both teams shooting it quite well, with the exception. Look at the three-point shooting of the Adelaide 36ers. That combined with 23 turnovers is the reason they lost this one. The assists, well, that was somewhat a cause of the way in which they were playing. Everything coming off the bounce for the Adelaide 36ers, and only had the 8 in the game. But well done to the New Zealand Breakers. But Adelaide will go back and look at the tape here, and it won't be a difficult analysis to figure out where it all went wrong.
Robert Franks, though, the big positive, Pete.
Yeah, he was enormous, and they made him a focal point, and they need to continue to do that. He's got to be your main offensive weapon. 20 points, he had 12 rebounds, his activity was great. He was really playing through the physicality, and they look like a completely different team when he's up and about. And as Drew said, they know exactly what cost them the game. But when the game was there to be nearly won, they were enormous in the last 30-odd seconds and minute 30.
The Breakers were fabulous. They lock away second spot on the table. Adelaide still very much in the finals hunt. That's game one done, but stick around. Up next, it's the Taipans and the Phoenix on Sunday Hoops.
This program is brought to you by Hungry Jack's and Bunnings Warehouse.